and you're already doing a wonderful job with this. Another sort of theme and variations, right? And so you heard Nicholas's Paganini, and if you can, now with the Paganini, each variation is wildly different. So it's maybe a little bit more, it's just a little bit more apparent that each variation has nothing to do with one another. They might be progressing in terms of energy. I think in the case of that 24th caprice, it comes in waves. It's actually 3 variations at a time that become more intense. Here it's a little bit more subtle. There's a lot of things. Some things are clearly more different. Other times it feels like, well, there's a lot of quarter notes or a lot of 8th notes, right? But if you can stretch the difference between those, okay, really stretch your imagination and your tonal range, your color range, your dynamics, I mean, it all goes together. If you want to use some, I wouldn't do very Ponticello sometimes, but quasi Ponticello, a little bit icier sound, sometimes a sound that is almost ghostly, not so tangible, and then sometimes parts that you haven't even gotten to, it's really like a huge granite mountain, right? So that kind of range in this, it's really such a dramatic work, and it is written also so beautifully for the violin. But let's talk just a little bit about sound production. We talked a little bit with the others, but I think it's just a very, very important part of playing the violin. With Hanami, what we were talking about, you were probably warming up, right? So what we talked about, what I feel is the hardest thing about playing the violin is trying to express these big things, these intense things through this little box, right? And we can so easily force the sound, and when we do that, we're trying to create resonance, and when we push too hard, we're actually squashing the resonance. And so we have to imagine the sound is not something solid, we're not hitting a baseball with a baseball bat. Actually, even worse, where it's, because what happens is we keep, it would be like, at least with a baseball, we hit it and it goes, right? You want to hit it further, you take a bigger swing at it. What we're trying to do sometimes, we're trying to control it all the way, the flight of a ball. It would almost be like taking a gong and trying to create, or bell, and trying to create a huge resonance by hitting it, but then still touching it. And as if touching it harder is going to make, really make a difference. What we're actually doing is we're squashing that resonance. Now, so that's why it rings so freely when it gets off the string. Now, the beauty of the bow and the difference between the bowed instruments and the plucked instruments is this goes away in a very natural way. So now we can manipulate the rest of the ring. But it's manipulating it, it's not creating it, okay? And so it's something we've been working on a little bit with the others is the articulation, okay? So when you want a certain sound, put it into the articulation. I don't mean also, articulation is kind of a dirty word for violinists a lot of times. It makes us just play like this. This could be articulation, okay? You want a certain sound. The way you started, that's the articulation. But then after that, just gently manipulate the sound.
关注我，学琴不走弯路。